Good day, friends around the world. It's good to have you back here today. If you happen to be watching the show for the first time, we very much welcome you to the show. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you've come to the right place, as we have all kinds of content on the channel. Make sure to check everything else we have available after the episode. Would be very helpful if you could let your friends know about us, as we can expand our community. Mortal Kombat Legacy, the web series that flourished with success, had some pretty energetic and strong fights. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes when it comes to getting these fight scenes to look good on screen. The man behind many of these sequences, who helped create and choreograph them, is Larnell Stovall. Larnell and director Kevin Tancharoen were the perfect pairing for the Mortal Kombat franchise, as the series hit records worldwide at the time. Legacy was a very ambitious project, and with that came some concepts that didn't even get to see the light of day. I'm extremely eager to dive into what could have been and all the fun stories of what went on during the filming of the show. Larnell has proven to be victorious in his career, from acting to choreographing to even directing. You can catch some of Larnell's recent work on DC's Titans, which is currently streaming on HBO Max. Larnell is the stunt coordinator for the show, and he has even been fortunate enough to direct a number of episodes. But with that introduction said and done, let's switch over to the interview. All right, combatants, here we are, accompanied by Larnell Stovall. I'm a huge fan of the fight scenes in the Legacy series, and it's been so nice to see how much you've expanded in your career. It's an honor to have you on today. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
To kick off today's interview, as we know, you've been involved in stunts and choreography for many years now. Where was it that your journey really began to take off in regards to the martial arts aspect? What type of experience do you have in this field, Larnell?
Martial arts, I started martial arts when I was around 12 years old. Started in karate, Shotokan specifically. From there, I stuck with it, traveled the U.S. in different tournaments. And then from there, I decided to see if I could take this karate thing on the road after I saw a movie named Blade. And Blade inspired me to want to try to take it to the next level, which was get to Hollywood, leaving New Orleans, Louisiana behind, and I think the year 2000, and I haven't looked back since.
Wow, man. It's a known fact that you're really into video games. What are some gaming titles you enjoy in general, and do you have a favorite Mortal Kombat game?
That's a tough one right there. Man, it's so funny because recently my wife just brought me this arcade machine that has like over 5,000 games. It's ridiculous. And there's so many older Mortal Kombats on there. Now, of course, I'm a fan of the last one, which hopefully I'm not saying it wrong, which was MK12, right?
MK11.
MK11, okay, got it. So I love that one. And look, the downloads, I get it, when you start adding Rambo and you start adding Predator and Terminator, those are cool. What was that, Leatherface? And,
yeah.
So of course, I enjoy those too. But for some reason, man, was it Mortal Kombat 3 that initiated the run button?
Yeah.
For some reason, that's still one of my favorites. And with this new arcade machine that I have, I started rediscovering the love for that as well. Plus, the graphics still hold.
They do.
So, that's still one of my top ones. And, but yeah, I would say 10 and 11 are still up there for me as well, because I love the progression. But yeah, something about 3 still pops up for me, just that nostalgia, because, it just feels good to rediscover that again.
That's pretty dope, man. So who are some of your favorite combatants?
I hate to sound like a cheese ball or noob with this, but I'm still a Scorpion fan, man. I don't
Hey,
spam. I don't spam him. I don't spam him, but I would say Scorpion, Kabal, and when I have the patience to keep remembering how to change him up, Shang Tsung.
very, very good.
Yeah.
What age were you? When did you start? Shall I say, start playing Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was always, I'm gonna say, arcade. This was probably 14 years old, maybe,
Oh, nice.
maybe 14. Being in the arcade and wasted a lot of quarters went into that baby. Because you got to remember back then, there were no cheat codes. There was nobody to walk you through how to play the game. So, and what did we always do? We always put in Street Fighter codes, thinking if I do a half round, something's going to happen. If I do a half full round, a fireball's going to come out. So you try moving in like a Street Fighter game. At least I did.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case. It was sometimes simple as a tap tap forward or tap tap back. And so I started paying attention to guys playing the game, and I would simply watch what they do with the joystick. Whether it was down and forward for SubZero's Ice Blast or back forward, for certain people's movements. So that's how I learned, and a bunch of quarters later, fell in love with it, much less, the ultimate was trying to get that fatality, and then you only had, what was it, 7 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds maximum. Yeah, tight window, but you felt so accomplished when you pulled it off. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So you became fortunate enough to join Stunt Team 8711 Action Design, and inform us how you became a part of it and some of the proud achievements therein.
Well, 8711, it's family, it's home. The process was interesting. I was part of the training group for, I would say, maybe 2 years before I was asked to join. And it was just a group of martial artists that would get together multiple times a week, sometimes on weekends as well. And you either beat the crap out of each other, you're learning choreography, both, you're doing weapons, you're breaking down different versions of fight scenes so you can grow, learn how they were filmed, learn how to find your voice as a choreographer. We were fortunate enough, and he's still teaching to this day, Chad Stahelski, the director of the John Wick series. Grateful for that because he just loves teaching. He always gave back. He still gives back. Whether it's 2 people on the floor, whether it's 30 people on the floor, he teaches just the same. But yeah, after 2 years, 2.5 years, somewhere in that range, I was asked to join. And then from there, it was basically don't screw it up and represent well. And the rest was history, where you get out there, you make a name for yourself with different projects, and you test yourself across the world because sometimes it might be you by yourself in a place like Romania or Bulgaria, and you're representing a brand and you work with the locals, but you try to make sure the quality is up to speed regardless who you're working with. So that's always the challenge sometimes because you can have your favorites on how they perform and how they move, but if none of your favorites are there working with you, you got to make sure the locals look just as good. And, the brand, always represents to the best of its ability, no matter where we are.
I hear you, man. Very good. Now, let's talk about the inception of Mortal Kombat Rebirth, which sort of stood as the precursor to Legacy. You've been in this thing since the very beginning, so why not elaborate on where you met up with Kevin Tancharoen and how Rebirth came to fruition?
Okay, well, what's funny is a good buddy of mine, and this is kind of an interesting 6 degrees of separation. A good buddy of mine, JJ Perry, passed my information on, and if any old school Mortal Kombat fans remember, JJ Perry, if I'm correct, was SubZero.
Yeah, Conquest.
Kombat Conquest, which I was a fan. I wasn't in the industry yet at that time, and that was definitely part of my motivation when each week I would watch these episodes and see people I used to compete with on the NASCAR tournament circuit as a guest for Mortal Kombat, whether it was guys like Arnold Chun or guys like John Valera, or finding out Mike Chatteratabutt was doubling the lead of the show at times. So I kept seeing all these names of people I would see at competitions. And I was so curious, how to get in stunts, how to get involved, because everybody wanted to be on Conquest at that point, because it was a who's who of martial artists each week. And crazy enough, me and Daniel Bernhardt are great friends. And I've been blessed to be able to hire Daniel Bernhardt a few times as an action actor on some series, and he's always came through. But yeah, Kevin, we met after JJ recommended me, because I think Kevin reached out to JJ and think JJ was busy on a film. And he was like, yeah, I hit Larnell up. He's into all this stuff, knows about all these different things with video games, characters, comic books, and stuff. So we met at a Starbucks. And what I'll never forget was a Starbucks in North Hollywood. We sat down and he started talking about the lore of Mortal Kombat and what he wanted to do, and then he pulled out these images and showed me how we was going to do a reptile, how it was catered to reality, that it was an actual skin disease. And, most unfortunate babies, if someone's born with that skin disease, the chances of life might be 2 years or less. But, this version of our world, reptile, lived to be 30. And, his psychotic breakdown was, if he thought he eats the flesh of his victims, it would help cure the disease. Thus, him having a cannibalism thing to him as well. So, and then I think he showed me something else concerning a quick image of SubZero.
We've seen it for like a millisecond in the short.
Yeah, but he had an interesting backstory, about the practicality of the ice and him having to be subjected to like a frozen compound or something to keep him alive. So that way there was like a lot of reality based things to it. Now, of course, I know that rubs some people the wrong way because it's about the lore, the fantasy of different things. But when we set out to do this, of course, I was on board when he threw out these ideas. And then from there, I believed I reached out to Michael Jai White because, he's like a big brother of mine. And I was like, hey, Mike, look, bro, this guy has a great idea about Mortal Kombat. He's going to do this with Scorpion. He's going to do this with Johnny Cage. And I mentioned how he had this reality-based approach to it, but this gritty, grounded, surreal thing. And, then he came aboard, and I reached out to Lateef as well.
Yes.
Lateef was game. And, then came along Matt Mullins, play out Johnny Cage, so great experience. It was crazy because the hilarious part was, I don't know if people know this story, the short accidentally leaked online.
Yeah.
It accidentally leaked. I believe if I'm correct, Kevin was trying to get an opinion about it from a buddy of his, like a very respected friend of his in the industry. He just wanted his opinion on it, but I don't think it was locked or password protected. Now, reason why I'll never forget this was I was working on this. I was working on Green Lantern at the time.
Okay.
And we took a lunch break, and I went to my phone, and my phone had like hundreds of messages, 50 texts, bunch of emails. I'm thinking someone hacked into my phone. There's no way where I was that popular for that many people to contact me. And people going, yo, Mortal Kombat's fire. What is this, bro? You didn't tell me, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Next thing I know, it's viral, and journalists were confused because the quality was so good. They didn't know if this was a preview, if this was real. And if I'm correct, Mortal Kombat 9 might have been on the verge of coming out. So maybe people were thinking this was a tie-in to promoting the new game. So it caused all this buzz, and I hit Kevin. I was like, Kevin, bro, yo, what happened? He was like, this is great, huh? So I was happy that he was happy, because I think he wanted to approach it a different way. I think he wanted to show the short to Warner Brothers executives to give them the power and the option to decide where to go and what to do with it. Because sometimes when you do fan-based shorts, sometimes it can backfire because, unless it truly goes viral, and I mean like millions and millions of hit and all of it's positive, then you get the studio's attention sometimes. And back then, a lot of people were shooting shorts, for different characters and different video games and IPs. Everybody wanted to reinvent something. So it hit certain numbers. I believe it hit like 14 million in 2 days, which was pretty high back then. And before the end of the week or the next week, I believe Kevin was asked to take it offline by Warner Brothers,
Yeah, that's right. I think the scene where Jax punches out Kano's eye as well caused a big stir.
No, I think no, I was still referring to Rebirth, the original short.
Oh, you're still talking about Rebirth. Okay, yeah.
Still talking about Rebirth, yeah, because Rebirth, like I said, once that went viral, and then it worked in Kevin's favor because Warner Brothers reached out to him and wanted to discuss how can we take this further, or how could we bring this world to life. And at that time, web series were starting to become a thing. And if I'm right, we were one of the first financed web series from a studio that actually put some money into it. Of course, you're always going to say it's never enough because you want to, do your best and get the best quality possible. But yes, the short of Rebirth led to Legacy.
Yeah.
So that was an excellent transition from just grinding and hard work and creativity into a Mortal Kombat web series shot in Vancouver. Yeah, good times.
When it comes to Rebirth, how long did it take to film the Johnny Cage versus Baraka fight? Was it smooth sailing?
Crazy story about that one. Thank goodness we had two martial artists who can act because there were some changes. That fight was actually longer than what was seen or what was filmed. It was probably about 2 more sections to that fight scene that we ran out of time to film. So I had to cut the fight on set. Like, I literally had to. What we do is sometimes we choreograph fight scenes and then we basically break it up into sections. And we do a walkthrough in front of the crew to make sure people understand, hey team, this is section 1. It stops here, whether it's an elbow to the throat or whether a guy gets his knee popped or something. And then we say, okay, here's section 2. Section 2 ends with a clothesline and his face goes into glass or something like that. So I believe the whole fight might have been 5, 6 sections. And I had to cut it down to 4 to give us to film it in the time we had left. And unfortunately, I believe we only had, I don't think I'm over exaggerating, I believe I had 4 hours to film that whole fight scene. When originally, I thought I would have had about 6 to 7. So I mean, that's what happens when you have acting on the same day you film fight scenes. Obviously, you have to get all the acting done, before you go into the fight scene. And the fight scene was, I believe, the last thing of that day, and we were left with around 4 hours, But because the guys were so well rehearsed, we still came across with something cool.
Yeah. Is there anything noteworthy that was cut from that fight that you can think of?
I believe Johnny Cage. There was a version of a shadow kick.
Oh.
That I wanted to do. that would have sent Baraka into a wall, and then it would have been multiple kicks from Johnny Cage, because as the fans know, he's a great kicker as well, and there weren't that many kicks in the fight. So I think I took a kick out of that section and added to another section when Baraka was on the ground, and he did this what we call a 540, and he turned it on a slight angle to make sure it was more of a direct hit movement versus just a flashy movement. So yeah, I believe there was one section that would have added more MMA to him, because modern day Johnny Cage, we infuse a little MMA with him, and I think it was just a nice little more takedown, more combos, and oh, I know what happened. There was a part where I believe they did a kick and they would have separated, and then it would have looked like the video game, and then it would have ran at each other as if round two
Oh,
fight. So yeah, I remember I wanted to do that, because it was so smash mouth and gritty and grindhouse. I wanted to give them a break and breathe, but that break would have went to the separation where the camera would have been pulled back far to look like they're at the proper distance of the video game, and then they charge at each other again,
oh
and then
man.
start fighting. Yeah, yeah. So it's those little nuggets I tried to sneak in, but I stuck with, hey, let's just make sure we get a fight scene shot, because those things take time.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
after seeing the gigantic success of Rebirth, surely you must have been stoked to get to work on Legacy. From what we continuously keep hearing, it was quite the rushed production with a limited budget, of course. Did you find yourself in a rut where there was an extraordinary amount of pressure? How did it all flow out for that first show, and were you satisfied with how everything played out?
That was it was a great experience for me, only because working on film, working on TV, and then seeing the difference between working on a web series. Very micro in budget, micro in time. We had some great talented people, which always helps, because there was no time to train anybody in martial arts. Like, you needed to come to the table knowing martial arts already. I don't believe there was any cast members that had time to train. So we kind of had to come to the table with the choreography preset, and then sometimes some choreography had to happen on set, whether it was adapting to the atmosphere, the floor, or different stuff, or the snow in some cases, where
Yeah.
we had to make some changes here and there. But yeah, look, I love the product and how it came out, especially when you look at episodes 1 and 2. It felt large in scale. I mean, we had
Yeah.
these huge factories, and the camera work was amazing. The color was good. The grading was good. The sound was great. Um, so it came out the gate strong, in my opinion. God bless him. Unfortunately, he's passed away. Darren Shalevi,
Yeah.
who played Kano, good friend of mine. I was so happy when he got the role because I just knew he would deliver a good Kano.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, he did an amazing job. But one interesting story that was put out there, and I'm not sure if you knew about this. The very first time Jax and Kano were fighting each other, and I believe Jax was running, chasing Kano.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael Jai pulled his hamstring on the first take.
Ooh.
Pulled his hamstring heavy, to the point where we wondered if we was going to even be able to finish filming. And it was freezing cold, and I think what it was, he didn't have a lot of time to truly stretch and warm up. Because you can think you're warm, but with that cold weather, and having a sprint, then I believe he popped the hamstrings, and that was before the fight started. So some movements had to change, and I think one or two kicks, he still went through and tried to do it. And I know it wasn't the best version of how he could perform it, but kudos to him for, pushing through that. Because, I would have no clue if we would have been able to film the fight scene at all, based off of our time and our schedule, if that injury was so severe that he couldn't move. So he moved more with hands, but with hands, you still have to have your legs as a base and push off.
Yeah.
So, and then the kicks that he was wanting to do, he could only do it at maybe 50, 60% of what his normal ability was. But most people didn't notice that. So,
Ooh.
that goes to talk about his ability as a martial artist to push through.
For sure. Now,
Yeah.
is it also true that season 2 actually had a smaller budget than the first? If so, can you remember the approximate budget set for each season, roughly?
I really don't know numbers.
Okay.
I want to say season 1 had over $1 million. I want to say that. But season 2 definitely did not have $1 million. So if that was the case, if that was the true number, I know season 2 didn't have that. Now, whether it was cut in half, cut by just 30%, I'm not sure. But yeah, season 2 definitely felt the impact of not having that same budget or time frame, So yeah, unfortunately.
Now, you're on file to say that you had lesser of a role in season 2 compared to the first. As I understand, Garrett Warren looked over a lot of the fight choreography. Either way, you were still a part of the project and did your usual line of work. What were some fight scenes in season 2 that you were more heavily oriented with?
Season 2 was interesting because I believe I was doing a movie called Ride Along at the time with Kevin Hart. And Kevin Tantrum, was, like, oh man, we're back for season 2, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And I wasn't available. So he had to find a coordinator, but I made an arrangement, if I'm right, that we did a lot of the fight scenes, like this process we call Stunt Viz, where we get the stunt guys, get the script, break it down, and action design the choreography in a gym, sometimes with boxes, chairs, tables, trying to mimic, what this scene says it is. Like, for instance, Liu Kang. Liu Kang's in the bar. So, okay, cool, let's mimic a bar. There's going to be tables, there's going to be chairs, there might be a pool table. So we mimic the best version we can with our camera, we edit it, and then we send it off to Kevin, and then he says, hey, I love it, or okay, I want to make these changes, and then changes are made. And then if I'm right, we did that for 5, 6 different sequences where I choreographed it in a different place, sent the videos, and Garrett was a stunt coordinator. So Garrett was there, and he made his changes, and then he rehearsed it with the actors, and then he executed it. So actually, I believe I was only there one time. And I think I saw... what did I see? I think I saw the Katana fight in Molina. I think that was one of the only ones I was around for, based off of my schedule.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, but yeah, kudos to them, man, because that was tough, when you have less time to do what people expect, because people expect more the next season.
Right.
So, yeah, man. But, man, it was good time still, getting those scripts and seeing things. And one cool thing about season 1, I don't think many people know, I think we had a Goro episode.
Oh, what?
We had a Goro episode. Yeah, there was actually a script for a Goro episode. Where Goro was not the champion, where, if I'm correct, he had a brother, an older brother,
right,
who was more of the champion, and then Goro wasn't there yet concerning being the monster. Everybody know him. Wait, you got to think about that's an expensive thing to have multiple guys like that with forearms, and how do you film it? And I think the decision came down to either we cut 3 full episodes to do that one Goro episode. So you might have lost 3 episodes, if I'm right, concerning money to do a decent job to bring it to life, because of the expenses with all the visual effects and making that work. But yeah, I remember Goro, I think, having to fight his brother,
Whoa.
to claim the throne or claim the prince title or something like that. It's been so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a Goro episode, and I think Kevin I believe he made the right decision because someone like Goro you can save,
Yeah.
and you want to build the actual character. So I'm not sure who would have been on the chopping block, but I think you would have lost 3 episodes to afford a Goro episode. So yeah, it would have been a very short season.
Holy mac. Well, that is very
Yeah,
interesting. Now,
yeah.
we've also heard from the grapevine that JeanClaude Van Damme was initially in discussions to play Johnny Cage. Is this true?
Yes, it is true. Yes, it is true. It is true. And then in the 12th hour, I think some negotiations fell through concerning um, where he was filming and getting him back in time to Vancouver because he lived in Vancouver at the time. So it was very convenient. Kevin and I met with him and we had a great discussion. I worked with Van Damme on 2 movies previously to that, and believe it or not, I showed Van Damme the short in his trailer on a movie that we were doing.
Okay.
And he was so impressed with the Rebirth short, he couldn't believe it. He's like, Larnell, Johnny Cage is based off of me, right? So I was like, yes, JC, I know that. And he looked at it and he was just so impressed and he was just blown away because I was like, yeah, we shot this. This was shot in 2 days. He's like, what? 2 days? I was like, yeah, it's shot for, I think, $8,000. No way, blah, blah, blah. So he was all excited. And I was like, hey, so we just got greenlit to shoot this as a web series. And I don't think he understood what a web series was at the time.
Okay.
But from the information I had, which was still truthful, was the web series was always intended to be an introduction to the characters to move on to a movie, thus saving the backstories and blah, 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 and this and that. That's why when you got to someone like Jax, you knew he would have had the arms for the film.
Yes.
But now you don't have to cover that story. And you're not losing 40 minutes here and there, 45 minutes or so, and cut people's story short. So the web series was supposed to be an intro to get everybody ready for a film.
Yeah.
But yeah, so JC, unfortunately, negotiations, timing, his schedule just didn't work out, and he couldn't do it. But, in hindsight, it's always great to see JeanClaude step into that role. But it was kind of cool seeing Matt Mullins get a fair chance to continue being Johnny Cage, So I think it was meant to be.
Yes, I think Matt Mullins was one of the best portrayals. I thought he was fantastic. I don't want to pry too much, but do you know why he didn't return for season 2? What happened?
Not sure. I'm not sure what happened. Because I wasn't privy to a lot of stuff on season 2 because I was on Ride Along doing that movie in Atlanta. So I wasn't privy on schedule or why they changed Johnny Cage's or stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's way too funny when it comes to JeanClaude because to this day, a lot of people on social media still want him to be Johnny Cage in the next movie. There's I hear about it all the time, man.
That ship has gone. I mean, but the crazy thing about it, the timing would have been great for the web series at the time because the character that Matt Mullins was playing was actually a version of JCVD, his movie that when he played himself and he had his heartfelt performance about a reality star, a movie star who had to become a reality star, down on his luck, trying to find his way back. So it was interesting to see Johnny Cage, and I get it. Sometimes fans, they love the pure art of the character in their canon. Whether he's jokey, whether he's on top, whether he's flamboyant and flashy. And, sometimes as a director, you take risk. And, the risk might have been, what if Johnny Cage was an alcoholic? What if he was down on his luck? What if he was broke?
Yeah.
And the tournament was a way to get back into glory of his former years, and this is all he had left. It's not as exciting as the guy with the quips and the chiseled chin and the $1 million smile and the expensive Ray-Bans. That's not as exciting. I get it, but in the age of storytelling, you might go, huh? I didn't see it that way, and I'm not sure if I hate it, but you know what? I'm open because
Right.
he's still going to fight. He's still going to maybe crack a joke here and there or not take a situation very serious. But within the tone and the how intelligent our audiences are, it's interesting balance when you take risks like that. And I respect Kevin for taking those risks.
Agreed. Well said, Larnell. Beyond that, I believe JC's daughter Bianca was training for the series to be Molina in season 2.
Well, no, she was trying to be Katana.
Katana.
In season 1. Yeah. That didn't work out because JC didn't work out. So, neither, because schedules didn't work out. But yeah, I'm happy we had Sam Joe, to
Samantha
Katana.
Wynn.
Yeah, she did an amazing job. The unfortunate part about that was another fight. Oof, that fight was trimmed by 60%.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, for one, we were in a location where, with the snow and transferring equipment to get from a higher part of the mountain to a lower part of the mountain, where they had this bungalow or area that they were going to fight underneath, which is where they did do the fight scene. But it was supposed to still be somewhat daytime, not true night. And by the time we got there and the sun was going down and time was shifting, we had to find a way to do the quickest version of this fight as possible. And I felt so bad for those girls because they trained so hard. Oh. And but we had to do that and get to an acting scene, because when you're on a web series, it's not like a feature film where if someone says, "Oh, you have Monday to shoot it," and you're only supposed to have Monday, there's contingency plans in place for film. Sometimes there's money in the budget that most time producers will not admit is there, for just in case you don't complete your day. Like, hey, we only got 50% complete. Well, I guess we got to come back in a week, to film it or finish filming it. And they got to check the actor's schedule. They got to get that spot again. It's a big deal. That's why, completing your day or finishing a scene is very valuable. And in a web series, we had no choice. Each day we had to finish a scene. There was no coming back. There was no, we can just complete it tomorrow. Because, it was always a domino effect into the next day, into the next fight. So, yeah, that fight right there was cut by 60%. So whatever you saw, imagine 60% more. There would have been more time for Molina to be a little more vicious and evil and do a few more things, and more time for Katana to have to figure it out. There was a lot more fan work, a lot more side fighting, so there was definitely way more weapons, involved with it. Yeah.
Whoa. That would have been neat to see.
Yeah. Try to get the fans what I know they wanted to see in different areas. Because, being an avid video game player or, a blurred, so to speak, on my end, I do my best to say, if I was watching this, what would I want to see?
Yeah.
And as a fan.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of it, whether it's time, politics, talent, scheduling, and how much time you have. You got to say, okay, I got to put fandom aside and say, what can I do to service the characters and still find a way to do something cool within the time that I'm given? And say, hey, Larnell, you got 2 hours, man. 2 hours. I was supposed to have 6 hours with these girls. I got 2. All right, so ladies, here we go. So cut section 3, trim section 2 in half. Only give me the first 5 moves from section 1. Combine that with section 4 and give me the last half of section 4. Okay, rehearse it. Okay. Yep, that's what I have time for. Okay, camera's up. Let's go. Camera here. And then we do our thing. And at the end of the day, you walk away hoping you accomplish something cool that the audience will enjoy, because, audiences don't know what was not there if it wasn't filmed.
Yeah.
They can only go by what you show. But in our hearts, that, when you rehearse something, you're like, oh man, we had a great Katana Molina fight. I wish we could have filmed it. So, but yeah, good times though.
Now, not only because of time constraints, but also with budget limitations, there were other things in fight scenes that had to be removed. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think you've mentioned before, Sector's rockets and Cyrex's net from season 1 were cut out. Could you fill us in on any other scenes within the 2 seasons that were scrapped because of situations like that?
That's one of the biggest ones right now, was the net and the rockets. For one, if I'm right, that individual episode was saved until Comic-Con to premiere.
It was saved.
It was weird because I go to Comic-Con every year if I could. There were certain years I couldn't make it, but yeah, that was an amazing year because we already premiered Legacy, but the Cyrex and Sector episode wasn't ready during the season. It needed more time for visual effects, so they saved the premiere of that one until Comic-Con. And I was sitting there watching it, and I was blown away because, dude, I gotta be honest. If you go to YouTube right now, and let's say you have a surround sound and a nice screen TV or projector, and you put on that episode, and when you watch those guys get encased in those metal outfits, dude, it looks good.
Agreed.
And I was just sitting there like, I'm hitting Kevin like, yo, looking at this, man, I was blown away. And so I get it why decisions had to be made, probably in post and things like that. Because the Rockets were going to hit Hydro. I believe the net, it was a teamwork thing that before they did the martial art tag team thing, I believe it was going to be some type of thing where Sector runs and does a sweep and scissors his legs. Then Cyrex shoots the net. And then, if I'm correct, Sector shoots the rockets at him. Then he breaks out the net. And then they do the physical martial art tag team thing on him, ending with the ending we saw. So, we try to go big. Yeah, we try to go big. Because, when someone tells me visual effect-wise what we can and can't afford, and there wasn't a limitation to it, I was like, well, I'm not going to go crazy because people want to see them fight, but we got to do their signature things. So someone has to shoot the net, someone has to shoot the rockets. Just give me that, at least. Couldn't afford it. So, good, though.
Any other signature moves you can think of from other characters in the series, or not that come to mind right now?
None that come to mind, but I really was trying to convince Kevin to add Kabal in there.
Oh, I think that's one of his favorite characters too.
It is. Man, we've been talking about Kabal for years, where we wanted to treat Kabal like a Jason Voorhees. Just like this huge monster that can sprint. And instead of making someone spin from speed, it would have been his weapon that when he slices your leg, you spin halfway. But he's already running back the other way, slicing you again, making you spin another time. So you still get what the video game has, but you get it in the real world sense. So it was one of those things I wish we could have had time to play and do it right. And it would have got, Kevin and I were such fans of Kabal, it would have got the treatment Rebirth would have got.
Yeah.
That's the treatment Kabal would have gotten. It would have been like a horror movie. That's what it would have been like. I know that may not be canon, and that may not be exactly what the fans would have expected, but it would have got the Rebirth type of treatment for him.
And you know what? To be honest, I think that's, in my opinion, that's something that Mortal Kombat is missing, especially lately in some of the more recent games. Is I love that sort of horror aspect that it used to have. Like Mortal Kombat 4, I think is deeply underrated. My God, it's got this kind of creepy tone and atmosphere and music. One thing I did like in the newest movie was Joe Taslim's portrayal of SubZero. It was so intimidating and creepy, kind of like a Jason Voorhees. So I think Mortal Kombat needs to bring that back, brother.
Yeah, man. It was good times, man. Just hate that we couldn't flesh out Kevin's true vision. And look, I respect what was accomplished with Legacy, but I really, really wish they would have let him keep his original vision and do it in the Rebirth sense. Because, a lot of fans, I get it, they wanted to, well, how will it play into the mystical elements if we're doing all this grounded, gritty stuff? But if you notice at the end of Rebirth, Scorpion, when he got up, he had the pupils, he had the eyes, so Kevin would have found a way to give you that, where it was serial killers and criminals and assassins and stuff, in the earth realm. He would have found a way to transition the mystical elements and magical elements too, if, he would have been given a fair chance, but I know it's risky, going that route, so.
Is there a fight scene within the show that you're most proud of, you would say?
It's a tough one. Usually I'm proud of fights that were a challenge to pull off. And whether it was time constraints, nature, atmosphere, the outfits, I'm going to say probably the SubZero Scorpion fight was the most challenging. I mean, obviously I would say the Sector and Cyrus and Hydra fight came out the best because it was in a studio in front green screen. It was easier for the guys to do their moves, and everything worked out perfectly. We had to cut a few powers here and there, but overall the fight came out as I envisioned, and I'm happy Kevin gave me the freedom to do that fight scene as well. But I would say the Scorpion SubZero fight only because the challenge of the snow was difficult. And, we had great performers in Jeremy Marinas and Kim Do, who performed the stunt portions of it as well. But literally, I remember us having to put boards, like wooden boards, underneath the snow to give them something solid to jump and fight off of. Because these were amazing performers who can do all these tricks and cool moves. But in the real snow, it's like almost trying to do that in sand.
Right.
But cold, so we had to figure it out, because we didn't have no clue how much snow there would be or how deep the snow would be, so we did our best, and I'm happy those boys were able to pull off what they were able to pull off, in that snow, which was not easy. So that's probably one of the ones that are up there for me.
Yeah, that's a lovely fight from season 1. I also happened to see some behind the scenes photos of that fight actually, and it looked like originally you guys were going to use a lot more of the ice sword. Is that accurate? You guys cut a lot of that stuff out.
Oh wow, you did your research. Yeah, there was an ice sword. There was me geeking out, trying to make. I think one created by Props. I'm trying to remember. Did Props create one? Or was a handle created and then visual effects was going to add the icicle sword to it? Yeah, man. Yeah, look, being a true fan of these things, I wanted SubZero to throw ice darts at him as well.
Yeah.
Just throw ice darts while, Scorpion blast with fire and they melt, and then they get back together and fight again. Then he gets the sword. Then eventually it forces Scorpion to pull out, his ultimate weapon and defeat him. So, there was many levels to it, and, always had to keep hearing, Larnell, it's a web series, it's a web series. Like, it's cool, but it's a web series. But but we did what we could with the time we had, and once again, I'm grateful for that opportunity. And
Did you get it?
But hey, here we are with Mortal Kombat the movie, and So I'm happy that it's still going. I'm happy, that Warner Brothers chose to give life to a franchise and a video game that's well deserving, and it's interesting because I remember I pitched something to Kevin, and I was like, man, if we could have did this right, it should have been broken up into 3 films. One version was you get, let's see if I remember this right. You get Jax, you get Sonya, you get Kano, you get Kabal, and Striker, if I'm right. Striker, right?
Sounds all about right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you basically deal with the military, you deal with the Black Dragon, you deal with cops and stuff, and you get the gritty, real-world version going, okay, to introduce us, okay? No mystical stuff in that. That's all real people, but it's still Mortal Kombat. You come out with something like that for I don't know, I'm going to throw a guess out there. You do it for like $40 million, okay? All right? Low overhead, chance for a profit. Cool. That makes a profit. Now you go to the outworld. Nice. Now it's ninja time. You can do your Scorpion, you can do your SubZero, you can do your reptiles. Who else am I missing ninja wise?
Rain.
You split.
Noob Saibot.
You split Outworld up, in its own area, but the Shao Kahns, the Shang Tsungs, the Raidens, and everything else, that's its own movie in itself. When you deal with, I feel like there was a way to separate everything and have it build towards the tournament, and the tournament is the 4th movie.
I like that progression.
You go gritty and realistic with the military, cops, and blah, blah, blah. And of course, you do your post-credit thing or something like that, But then the next one, you get the ninjas involved. Because everybody loves SubZero Scorpion. Both of them have such an amazing story. You literally can deal with your clans and then do a movie off of them. That's enough. You're going to have your reptiles. You might have Rain appear, okay? You might be able to sneak in someone else. You might be able to sneak in Jade or someone like that. Okay, cool. That's enough. That's at least 5-6 characters there that you can have fun with. Cool. Then, time to hit Outworld. Now you get Raiden. Now you get Shang Tsung. Now you get Katana, Molina. And then maybe Shao Kahn, or no, maybe Shang Tsung introduces Goro at the last thing. Then now, here comes your film, part 4. If each movie made money, now they can put well over $100 million into the actual Mortal Kombat film. And there's a progression of people who were patient. Their characters were served justice on characters' development. They all had good fight scenes, and not too much was crammed into one thing.
Yes, because Mortal Kombat Annihilation made that mistake. Crammed way too many characters in it, and it just was overwhelming. You couldn't explore the backstories. So no, I like that idea. I think that's friggin' brilliant, man. Yeah, well, absolutely.
You don't want it to be cameos, because what's a cameo to somebody is someone else's favorite character. And I know you can't service everybody. Like, okay, let's say Striker, for instance, okay? All right, someone like Striker. Yes, he might be on a low totem pole to some people concerning likability, everything else. But for a film, Jax, Sonya, and Stryker are probably, and Johnny Cage are probably the easiest and most relatable ones to bring to life on film that you could put true story behind.
Yep.
Because you imagine a cop doing the best he can with his nightstick, his gun, some grenades, some brass knuckles, some handcuffs, whatever. And that's just all he has, and that's relatable right there. Of course, he might get killed once he faces somebody who's of the outworld or has mystical powers or whatever. But guys like that, you can dive into and create good stories around. Hell, you can create a great TV show
Yeah.
on a few characters like that, which I really hope they expand. And if certain people don't make it into a movie, I really hope, WB now, is it WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery? I really hope
Right.
they decide that if the next film is just as successful, that certain people who won't make it into the movie, they decide to do a Mortal Kombat TV show. And you can have cameos from some of your favorite people from the movie every now and then. But keep it more of a grounded, gritty version. And, obviously it's going to be on Earth and stuff like that. But I really hope they go there.
I really hope so too. That's what I really want. And there's no doubt in my mind it's going to be extremely successful because, I mean, in 98 to 99, MK Conquest was the biggest television show, new IP of its time, along with Pamela Anderson's show, the biggest show. The only reason it got canceled was because there was a financial sort of struggle between studios and ultimately they had to. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Legacy, exploded in terms of short series. They got to do it because the thing about Mortal Kombat and why I personally love it so much is because of all the rich characters and their lore.
Yes.
They got to bring this to the screen, man. They have to.
Yeah, man. And look, I believe they're starting to film part 2 in June.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
For the film. So I'm grateful to hear that, because as a fan, I'm excited to see where it goes next. What's expand, what lessons they learn from the first one that'll be different in the sequel. Because, it had good timing because I believe COVID was still very heavy at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was still very heavy at the time. So they was really paying attention to the numbers of who was going to check it out and who was going to support it at the time, and the numbers were pretty good, so it was more than enough to get to a sequel, it made money, so let's see what they do, who's going to get introduced, or what new character's going to pop up, or what's going to be the difference, between 1 and 2. I'm excited. It feels good to be a fan and just sit there and watch it, and just see what friends of mine are doing with it. So
I got a question for you. What was your favorite scene in the new movie?
Favorite scene in the new movie? Easy. It was definitely seeing SubZero fight Scorpion. That's the epitome, man. Seeing the powers, the ice, freezing the ice in midair, or the blood, and throwing it back. It's so many different things, man. Within that I try not to go, oh man, you geek out and go, man, could he have done the bridge? Could he have slid across the bridge? And, stuff like that. Yeah, but believe it or not, man, Kevin's Mortal Kombat script was really good.
That's what I was going to ask you about. What the hell was it about? I got to hear it, man.
It was, SubZero was they're doing the same way, but SubZero was the ultimate badass.
Nice.
I mean, he was, if I'm correct, he was in this prison that had fire around it.
Oh.
And Jax and Sonya were one of the people who knew he was down there. I forgot how did he get out. But there was a character that, is similar to the character they have now that they're building, to try to find his powers and stuff. But so there was something real similar in that. But the way SubZero was introduced, he was like a monster, man. And the way it read so visual. The way he was killing all the guards and then how they was trying to lock it back down, but it was too late. And it was definitely one of those build up things. He read so strong. He read like how you would expect to read Goro or Shang Tsung.
Sure.
Yeah, and I was happy that that's what they did because them doing stuff like that ups the ante for characters you expect to be that badass. Versus he was just another ninja who had these cool ice powers and they treated him very mid. They didn't do that. They treated him like the main beast villain that was so difficult to beat. And yeah, man, it was yeah, it was crazy stuff wanted to do with his ice and these sickles and different things that he was going to have and it was going to be everybody's a fan of the raid.
Yeah.
So imagine the raid 2, the prison, when he was trying to break out. Imagine that being SubZero and everybody coming at him and you just got limbs and body parts flying and him raking people's face across the wall, and the wall is made of ice blades and different things while people are shooting at him, and it's freezing in midair as the bullets are flying at him. And yeah, it was a huge breakout scene, I remember. But yeah, it was a good script. It was a really, really good script.
Yeah,
and I think it was going to be in New Orleans, of all places, which is my hometown.
No freaking way, man.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the voodoo and mysticism and stuff in New Orleans, the French Quarters, that's the perfect place for a portal to open up. With the swamps down there and the Cajun, the legends of voodoo and stuff, so it was interesting that, too bad it didn't happen, man.
That's really, really a shame. Yeah, I was super, super excited because being such a fan of Legacy and Rebirth that I am, I think Kevin is absolutely genius, and yes, it would have been really something special to see what he had to offer. Do you remember any other unique characters, maybe, who are in the script who are going to be a decent sized role?
No unique characters, but Kevin and I would have a running joke where I really wanted Bo Rai Cho to be part of season 2. We had this running joke, but it wasn't a joke in the sense of not taking the character serious. It was like we were going to give him his just due. I mean, if Kevin had it his way, he would have got Sammo Hung.
Dude, I was just going to say that.
If Kevin had it his way and we joked about it and was like, oh my God, would that have been amazing? I mean, in Kevin's world, you get Donnie Yen to be Kung Lao. You get in Kevin's interesting where he would use off the cuff characters and make them something special. You get Bo. Could you imagine Bo Rai Cho popping up and it's Sammo Hung?
People would lose their minds.
You can't help but take that character seriously now.
Yep.
And that's the great thing about a director with vision. He'll make you look at a character that was treated as a joke or in its own way to go, holy crap. Remember, most times there's still hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions. Yes, you're going to get millions of people who love Scorpion, millions who love SubZero. But then there's millions who love Katana. Obviously Liu Kang, obviously Johnny Cage. But there's a few 100,000 that love a Bo Rai Cho. or people off the cuff like Kabal or different things like that. So I would have loved to see that happen. But funny enough, one of my favorite characters that when I think about it now for season 2, one of my favorite fights that was executed well, in my opinion, seeing Kenshi come to life.
Dan Southworth.
Dan Southworth's a great friend of mine. Go way back, and he looks like him. He was so perfect, and when I recommended him for it, it was to the point. I was like, dude, he don't need an audition. Look at him. Look at him. He's Kenshi.
Yeah.
But a little fanboy service. Who did Kenshi fought? Reptile, right?
No, it was Ermac and played by Kim Do.
Ermac. Okay, yeah, he fought Ermac. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Little fanboyism. The same guy who was the stunt double for Scorpion in season 1, he played Ermac.
Yeah, Kim Do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool, to keep people moving and have fun and play different things or whatever. So that was a good one in my opinion.
I agree.
And season 2 also, let's see, Eric Jacobus, was an amazing martial artist. He did a great job with Stryker, and yeah, we had a great fight scene, man. From what I remember, I'm not sure how much that fight.
Kung Lao was supposed to fight Liu Kang. He told us all about it. Yeah, that would have been so insane.
Yeah.
And Mark Dacascos, who plays Kung Lao, was supposed to do like a butterfly twist or something like that. It's going to be like very, very grand in scale. Yeah.
Yeah, which is so weird because now when I think about this now, oof, you're giving me a nice flashback. I believe it was around Thanksgiving time where I left or had a break on a movie I was doing in Atlanta, and I was actually able to get back to LA to see some rehearsals happen for season 2.
Uh-huh.
And I actually met Garrett and Mark Dacascos at this place called Jam in LA, and we actually went over his fight scene. And I believe during that same week, I was able to see Dan do his fight with Kim, and another fight scene I was able to see, just kind of like saying, okay, I know I filmed it, I know I choreographed it, but now let's see it rehearsed.
Yeah.
Let's make some changes. And then I hopped back on a plane right after Thanksgiving and went back to Atlanta, and Garrett took over and was there executing the fights on set. And I did like the Dark Liu Kang. I did think that was an interesting version of it. But yeah, man, there was this. Oh man, there was this version of a film. I guess I can let this out. This was pretty cool because it never hit the paper, but I know Kevin and I talked about this.
Yeah.
That Liu Kang you saw in that one, we had an idea that, could you imagine? And I know this may piss a lot of fanboys off. Like, see, that's why he shouldn't direct it. That's why I'm happy it didn't happen and blah, blah, blah. I get it. But sometimes you got to swing for the fences.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes shit happens or it sticks. There was a version where we were going to start off with Jackson Sonia entering a building with a team. And as they go up floor to floor, they're communicating on their comms, and they're being very careful and giving all these commands, and you see the flashlights and you see different people going room to room. Do you see him? Do you see him? And no one's saying who we're talking about. And then when they enter this one room, the bodies are there, and you see a guy sitting on top of what looks like 10 bodies, and it's Liu Kang. And he's went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's mumbling to himself about the legacy, the prophecy, and other things like that. He's got blood on him. His hands got blood and stuff or whatever. And it looks like he's in his own world. And there's these 5 SWAT guys, I guess, standing around him. And he won't move, and he just won't look at them. And he just keeps mumbling about the prophecy and combat and, stuff like that under his breath. And then They call on the mic and say, "Hey, we found him," and of course, Jackson's soon like, "What floor? Seventh floor." Blah blah blah, and then they go to rush. Do not engage. Do not engage. Blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
of course, one guy gets a little too close and starts to try to poke him, or hey, on the ground now. Blah blah blah, and I think the light hits him, and then as soon as he looks, there's a little fire in his eyes,
Oh.
and then all of a sudden he just lays waste into everybody. I mean, bending spines and punching through people, and as bullets are coming at him, he does a punch with his hand on fire, and it goes into the guy's chest and burns him and whatever. And by the time they enter the room, you see a guy's ashes, I believe, dropping, which was a sign like when he was the dragon in the animalities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like he can burn them with his fists or something like that. And then when Jackson Sonya enter the room, of course, there's this huge 2-on-1 fight scene, with Jackson Sonya taking on Liu Kang. And I believe it ended with them teaming up. Sonya doesn't have the sonic ring thing, but she has a sound device that makes a sonic type of thing that could hurt the ears, which would make sense from being military or different things of that background or whatever. So you don't get the ring thing, but you do get a sonic type of pushing type of sound thing. I think that would have hurt his ears to set up Jax to do the slamming thing. And as Jax punches him, he keeps punching him and he keeps going deeper and deeper through the wall, and then finally they both team up for one big move or whatever. And then Liu Kang goes flying out the building and the camera's below, and he lands on this gate of spikes. And then the MK sign comes up and the credits start. Yeah.
Damn.
And of course, we were like, "Are we going there?" It's like, "Yeah, let's go there." Like, wait a second, are we killing Liu Kang in the opening scene? And I'm like, bro, fuck it, because
Deadly Alliance.
For me, I guess, because I'm shifting to directing as well, and the ability to tell a story is key, and sometimes it's not what can you do for shock factor to just shock people. It's what serves the story, and where are you at this time in these characters' lives? What can you give fresh to make people sit up and go, oh, okay, all right, well, where are we going with this now? The Savior, okay.
Yeah.
But, the prophecy, he's fought multiple tournaments. It wasn't what it seemed. He went crazy. He's seen people die. Kung Lao could be dead. Katana could be dead at this time. Maybe he fell in love with Katana. There was things you could have explored, things you could have said later to explain why he went crazy. And there was no going back from this. And Raiden could regret the fact he couldn't help him, or he couldn't reach out more, or he couldn't, or he felt a sense of responsibility, all the pressure of being Earth's savior, he cracked or something. Maybe, I don't know. But in a sense of seeing that on film, and if that's my first 10 minutes, I'm strapped in now. I'm like, oh, okay, where are we going with this now? Because it basically sets the tone of no one's safe.
Yes.
And if you treat, and this is just my opinion, if you treat the Mortal Kombat characters like no one's safe, then I think it makes the audience tune in more. Because if you see a cameo character, what are you going to think? Oh, here comes a fatality. They're going to kill this character because he's a nobody. He doesn't have a huge fan following. But the idea of starting something off like that, you never know who's next. Like,
Yeah.
it may not even be about the tournament. It might be more about, tracking down the remaining combatants to get a team together because the next one's coming up. And who will be the guy to step up this time? That could be really interesting, so.
Yeah, brother. When it comes to me, man, I always prefer the unexpected because that gets you at the edge of your seat. And to me personally, that's true cinema. If it doesn't get me at the edge of my seat, something's missing. So I think there could be some definite potential there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's characters that deserve that. And I believe that thing we talked about with Kabal would have made it in that film too. That Kabal, would have been like a Jason Voorhees type of character. I mean, I get it. There's many ways you can go. You can go the slim, sleek, speedy guy, with the hook weapons, and it feels like he's coming straight out of Kung Fu theater, with the way he twirls and uses those weapons. Or you can go 6'6", and he hacks and slash with it, and he doesn't spin them and twirl fancy, but the way he uses them is very brutal, very direct, very dangerous. Because I feel like if a weapon is spinned too many times, it takes away the danger from it and it becomes more flash.
Yeah.
Just like a samurai is very dangerous because he focuses on one strike, one kill. As to where in a ninja fight scene, ting, 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 ting,
right.
ting, ting. Oh, here comes one slice. Oh, he's not dead. Ting, 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 ting. Here comes another slice. Oh, he's not dead. But samurai, he's trying to pull out, come back in. You're dead. Okay? Yeah. But I understand we have to entertain the audience. We have to give them fight scenes. So there has to be a sense of disbelief that you have to let go of, what really could happen versus you want to have a memorable fight scene. But yeah, that was an idea Kevin and I talked about for a while. Whoa. I believe. And we was torn between that being Kabal or that being Liu Kang. Because, them hunting Kabal would make sense. Right. That he's a serial killer, and you go in that room and he's sitting on a throne of bodies, basically drinking the blood of his enemies or something, like some sick serial killer, and he's got these hooks and he just lays into the team. Yeah, that was one version I believe we talked about. I think it was always Kabal, but then we flipped it and said, what if it was Liu Kang, man? What if Liu Kang went crazy and he's got the gray hair right now, and he's haggard. He's not that in shape anymore, and he looks drunk and just totally out of it, and he's talking to himself in third person, just really mess his mind up, and he's got the wounds and cuts on him from previous battles, and maybe he's got a half an eye or something, just like weather worn. Or battle worn, should I say, sure. But yeah. Anyway, get me excited again. It never happened, but I just see that opening. That opening would have been insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like that concept because it sort of brings me back, believe it or not, to it makes me think of Mortal Kombat Conquest because Kung Lao, throughout that whole season, he was really, really struggling with the concept of, all this responsibility and there's so much pressure on him. It looked like at times he was going to lose it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah, that was interesting. The trio of them, I'm sorry, I forgot the female's name that was with him. She had the red hair.
Tasha.
Yeah. It was great, seeing that dynamic of them create something not out of nothing, but give it a pass to lead us into the future. So I thought it was very cool. Whoever came up with that concept and didn't make it about SubZero, Scorpion, or Liu Kang, started with a younger Kung Lao. And, I'm sure they would have loved to go 4 or 5 seasons, But, I feel like they were just getting warmed up when that season 2 hit. They had my attention every week. I could not wait. I would stay for the credits so I can see, oh, he was in it this week. Oh, because it felt good seeing friends' names scroll across that screen and go, oh, man, I can't wait to do this one day, and get into the industry. So yeah, Mortal Kombat Conquest was a special place for me as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of the coolest fight scenes on that show I find was Percy Spitfire Brown's version of Rain.
Yeah, he had a good episode. He had a
Yeah.
really, really good episode. Yeah. Too bad he only had one, but let's see, was there a rumor about somebody popping up on there?
Like
Maybe I'm mixing it up. Maybe I'm mixing up.
actor or
Maybe I'm
characters?
mixing an actor. Trying to see, was there a rumor of Timok
I'm sorry, who?
appearing on Timok from The Last Dragon?
I'm not sure, man.
Oh, never mind. I think that was WMAC Masters. Yeah, that's what that was. That's what that was. Yeah, but yeah, Conquest, man. Really hate they didn't get past season 2. You know, to see what could have been, and you know how far they could have expanded. You know, but hopefully we get another Mortal Kombat series, because I think it's one of those ones. It can have the film going, and it can have the series, and they can either be their own different things, or if you're smart, you cross them, and you know you treat the series in a smaller version, and then and eventually maybe 1 or 2 people might pop up in the series from the films as in a finale, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, yeah. Make it about Stryker. Let Stryker have a series and investigating all these murders around town and bodies being dismembered and different stuff like that. Yeah, man, just get Stryker some love.
he needs some love. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, correct me if I'm wrong here. Did you at all try to audition for MK Conquest back in the late '90s, or did you have an injury or something?
Wow. Okay, this is crazy. I did have an injury. I believe there was an audition for Mortal Kombat Conquest at a tournament called Battle of Atlanta. And yeah, because the coordinator, John Medlin,
yes,
who was a stunt coordinator, he was recruiting from the tournament circuit. You know, because the tournament circuit had a lot of great talent and people to double certain characters, play ninjas, play stunt people. So it was just the right place to find talent. And they I think they did have an audition, or he was going around scouting and looking and seeing who was winning or who was on top. And most of the time it was people who were always getting first place that, you know, were being chosen. You know, I get it.
Yeah,
you know, but it was exciting. Yeah, I think I had a torn ACL at the time, so I couldn't even audition for it.
Oh.
But I still went to support some friends who were simply competing in the tournament. But it just happened to be the same weekend that I believe scouting for Mortal Kombat Conquest was happening. Yeah.
So
wow. Interesting times.
Yeah. So was there any sort of opportunities, like was there a character that you really wanted to play, let's say, in the show?
No character. Just because, you know, there was always the random thugs. There was always the random ninjas or different things, you know. And honestly, that was better to play that, because if you played that, 9 times out of 10 your face was covered, so you could come back the next week, the next week, and the next week, you know. But once your face was seen and people knew it was you, that was it. We can't use you for the rest of the season.
Very good point.
You got featured, got your nice fight scene, but that's it for you. You know, so I was going at it in a different route. Like, yeah, I want to be one of the guys getting their butt kicks week to week, you know, because you can be around the show longer. You can learn more, and you can bond with the cast and pick up all the cool trades of the industry. So that's where I was approaching it from, you know. So, yeah.
So here's something a little off topic, but on another note, is it true? I heard something that you were slated to have your own fight scene with the legendary Jet Li on Cradle to the Grave. Is that?
Oh wow, jeez. Yeah. Yeah. What happened was, I believe I had an audition, and I was fortunate enough. There was an audition that I kind of crashed because
Oh,
I missed the other open audition. This was like an invitation only audition. And the way it works with stunts with us sometimes is you get your headshot, your resume, and you go shake the coordinator's hand. You hopefully get a minute or two of that person's time. And they get a sense of your personality. You might be able to talk about your skills, who you know, who you train with. Maybe there's a recommendation on there from somebody that you worked for that coordinator knows. Okay, cool. So in this case, every martial artist thinks they stand a chance for these films, and of course you should. You got to believe in yourself. So I went there, and I went to drop my headshot off because I said, "Hey, look, I don't have an audition, so let me go to the place where the auditions was and simply drop my headshot off. That's it."
yeah.
And the timing that I was there, I believe I saw a buddy of mine named, I think, Tim, and he was helping gather certain things. And he was like, "Hey, Larnell, it's okay that you're here, but this is a private audition." I'm like, "No, it's okay. I'm just here to drop my headshot off." And as I was leaving, Corey Yuan
Oh, yeah.
walked out with, if I'm correct, Dee Dee, who was Jet Li's stunt double at the time. Corey remembered me from the one because I worked on the one as well, and I think at the time, I'm not sure when or how, but Corey saw me doing some martial arts, but I was kicking, warming up, or doing something. And, I guess it was kind of unique for my height and size, I guess, to carry muscle to do these kicks and flips and moves or different things of that nature. So when I saw him, he remembered me, and he was like, "Hey, audition." I was like, "Oh, no partner. Dee Dee be a partner." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So I literally had the pleasure of being choreographed by Corey at the time. And he was like, "Hey, forward flip, sweep, do this." And he said, "Okay, do some moves." So I think I was doing a double leg 540 and some type of sweep to a front flip. And Dee Dee would sweep me. I would go to my back and etc. So I did it like 2 or 3 times, and gave me the thumbs up. I left, and a buddy of mine, Jay Lynch, who was DMX stunt double. Rest in peace, DMX. Wow. Oof. Yeah. So, yeah, he told me some good news that, "Hey, yo, they're talking about you right now, man, about a one-on-one fight scene with Jet Li." Because I was still in the parking lot, um, just excited and blown away, and I saw him come out. So I met the coordinator. Um, we talked about, he just wanted to meet me in person. And then I didn't hear anything after that, about it. And yeah. Funny thing was, Corey wondered where I was or what happened, But that's politics. Sometimes things happen, and
Yeah.
you get replaced by people, or someone may think you're very talented. And it's crazy because I'm in that position now where sometimes I have to make a decision on who I'm going to hire, and sometimes experience might be talent. Like somebody else might be raw and really talented, but you got to think, under pressure, could they handle this right now? Let's say time gets cut short. Let's say I have to adjust the fight scene. Let's say the actor overcompensates and goes 2 feet left when he should have went 2 feet right. Somebody with experience might be able to compensate for that and protect the actor and still make the fight scene come out great. Somebody raw with great talent might go, "Oh no, he went here and he should have went here," and he didn't know how to compensate. He didn't know how to make up for some slight errors and adjustments that have to happen in fight scenes. So the guy that might be able to do these amazing tricks you've seen on YouTube that people are going, oh man, he should be an action star. He should be the next this, next that. But he's good at taking care of himself. He's not good at dancing with other people. And fight scenes are a dance.
Yep.
So if I'm going to be trusted for you to fight, let's say a Scott Adkins, a Michael Jai White, a Keanu Reeves, or someone else, I got to think about who's going to protect the actors first, and sometimes their talent second. Because there's many, many talented people all over YouTube that can do these amazing things that you just want to say, put him in Mortal Kombat, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't have control of those techniques, doesn't know how to sell it for camera, doesn't know how to act, doesn't know how to sell the fight scene itself too. But he knows how to look good when it's his turn. And it's usually a back and forth thing. And we've seen that happen with a lot of people. They're good at giving, but they're not good at taking.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, lately it would seem you've been doing a lot of second unit directing and such. According to the IMDb, you've even been credited for doing such on the upcoming TV show The Continental, based on the John Wick franchise. Is there anything whatsoever that you can tell us about the show, and how did it feel to be offered this unique opportunity for such a beloved franchise?
That was a crazy call to get from my boss, Chad Stahelski, on that one. Very busy guy, always into creating or taking meetings for his worlds that he's building. Because if you look at his IMDb, I think he's attached to like 15 projects, so I'm not sure which one's going to go next, which one's going to go first now that John Wick 4 is out and successful. But getting that call, it was very quick. Hey, you want to do Continental? Cool, great, don't fuck it up. That's it. Literally, I am not exaggerating.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But long story short, it's basically, I guess, through consistency and time of projects I've been doing, and that he's either seen or know that when I'm attached to something, I put my heart into it. I do my best to try to make sure that audiences are going to see something they enjoy. Of course, it's all teamwork, but if you're the head of the team and people trust you with the vision of this IP and say you're responsible for creating the action in this world, each of these characters is a representative of your creativity. You can have a fight coordinator, you can have a fight choreographer with you, because I won't have time to be on the floor choreographing every move. I won't have time to be there dealing with every piece of fight training. Certain people, that's their specific job. Yeah. My job is to take all those elements and bring it together and set the tone and the vision and make sure what's on the script, we pull that off and make it way better than what was written. Because, there's certain fight scenes in there that they'll go, oh, he runs across and does this and does this. I'm like, that's cool, but we're going to do this. That's our job. So when the writer and the director see it, they go, holy shit, I didn't know you guys were going to do this. Man, this is crazy. This is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's what we call it action design. We have to design action that's technically not on the page. Writer's job is to tell the story. Our job is to deliver action beyond what is written. I'm sure, like for Mortal Kombat or something, someone will say, oh, he throws a fire thing and the guy gets burned and then he does this and that. It's our job to add the 10, 12 moves before the fire blast. It's our job to add something that's not there before the villain escapes or teleports back to the Netherrealm. We stitch in between that time. So for the Continental, these characters, some are new that you won't know.
Sweet.
Because this is the past. We're dealing with the 70s and Winston being young and basically being introduced to the world of the Continental himself as well. So I don't want to give away the plot or, Peacock will come and shut me down really fast. But I will say if you're a fan of the John Wick world, you will be entertained. There's some pretty good action here and there. But I do like this idea that they're doing a 3 night movie event because we basically shot 3 movies, and it's different than a mini series or anything like that because each episode I believe is going to be anywhere between 95 to 110 minutes. So it's literally going to feel like you watched 3 films.
Whoa.
Which I think is refreshing. Because in this day and age of binging stuff, 6 episodes, 10 episodes, the idea that in 3 weeks you will have watched a whole season of something or 3 movies, I think is refreshing. So at least the audience wants it more. But yeah, I really can't give up too much on that one.
No.
But I'm excited, and that was an amazing opportunity, and I'm so grateful that Albert Hughes is an awesome director, awesome visionary. Kirk Ward, who was the writer and showrunner, they're a great tag team, and yeah, it's gonna be good.
Oh man, I'm unbelievably stoked. Yeah, it's going to be great. And before we head to the final segment of the show, you've made it public rather recently that you wrapped up your work on, I believe it's called King Shaka? Yeah, which you described as a life-changing experience for you. Is this something you could expand on to audiences?
Well, I would say life-changing in the sense of I was living in Toronto when I started the job.
What the hell? That's 4 hours away.
I now live in South Africa.
Woo!
So yeah, made the move, man. Just love it here. It's the people are great. I mean, it's like paradise where I am, and the culture is so rich. I'm learning so much.
Wow.
But concerning the job itself, yeah, it was definitely a life-changing experience because you can read books, you can hear about the legacy or the legend of Shaka, and then learning what he went through and learning what it took for him to fulfill his destiny and the challenges along the way, man. It were just things that you just like, wow, this world, it just deserves to be seen, So I truly hope it finds the home, it's the proper channel that's going to push it in front of as many eyes as possible because it deserves that. I mean, like, if you enjoy Game of Thrones, if you enjoy the Rings of Power and stuff like that, or House of Dragons, I do believe that this world has a voice and a story to tell that people will enjoy. And it's rich. It's got drama, it's got politics, it's got action. The visuals and the scope of seeing Africa on this grand scale was just amazing. There was times I walked those sets and I just couldn't believe it. Felt like I was transported back into the 1700s.
Unreal.
Seeing how people lived and what they did and how creative they was, either with the politics, the cooking, the traveling they had to do, the way they built things back then, the way they functioned. Everybody did their research, everybody stepped up with their A game, and we had an amazing cast. So I truly, truly hope late this year or next year sometime, we find this show on a major network and we can have another conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Wow, man. Yeah, that sounds beautiful. Another thing to look forward to.
Yeah. I really wish I could expand upon it more, but between that and the Continental and this, I've been very blessed, for the last 2 years to have two major projects like this back to back.
Yeah.
And which is crazy because normally I try to go for film, but I've been in TV world for like the last 5 years when you add Titans to it as well.
Yeah.
So and Titans was an amazing experience too, because big comic book geek, so to have that one fall into my lap, was crazy. And at the end of the day, I'm always going to say my favorite time on there was I actually choreographed a Batman fight. So and that's one of those bucket list things, for me. So yeah.
Well, that's great, brother. So we're going to switch things up a little here. We're going to go to the last segment of the show, and it is called
Final Round.
So what we're going to do in this final round is just ask you some quick questions, try to get to know you a little more.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question being, what are some of your secret talents?
Secret talent. Wow, secret talent.
Something most people don't know about you. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're going to call it a secret talent, but I think I have OCD for details. Like, I can read something and remember it, or I can walk into a room and look at where a pen was, or look at where a direction scissors were placed. And if it moved, I can tell you how far it moved, or that there's something missing. So yeah, because I guess maybe that comes from fight choreography.
Yeah.
And when Scripty says, "Oh, well, he was laying like this, and his elbow," no, he wasn't. His arm was stretched out. His arm was stretched out here. His head was turned to his right, and his knee was clocked in this way. Okay, it's just a detail. I don't know if you want to call it a talent, but yeah.
Oh, that's pretty great. If you were granted a superpower for one day, what would you choose and why?
A superpower for one day. there's the kiddie version, then there's the adult version. Interesting part about that, the kiddie version would be you want all of Superman's powers, but with Batman's fighting skill. Because I've always that's just me. Yeah, Superman can fight, but imagine having Superman's powers and be able to fight like Batman too.
Amen.
Yeah. But then the adult version is, I wish I had the power to bring peace to this earth and have people get along and less wars and, do something about, all the different things in society that are just going wrong these days, and not to get into politics or anything like that. But yeah, just wish I had the power to help people bring more love and joy in their life. And and then I think that'll solve a lot of things right there. It'll be a trickle down effect.
Well said, my friend. What is your favorite food?
Favorite food? I'm from New Orleans, man. One of my favorite foods is gumbo. It's an interesting dish. It's like a soup, that's made with love. It has a lot of different meats and seafood in it, and served over rice. You have it with crackers, saltine crackers, and it's just something I grew up on as a kid. My grandmother cooked it a lot. God bless her. She's still alive and still cooks. And it's a hard dish to find, but when it's done right, you never forget it. Never forget it. Yeah.
What type of music do you enjoy?
Music, I'm everywhere right now. Being that I'm in Africa, I'm kind of listening to their local music, and I'm trying to learn different things about the culture and try not to just hear beats and try to understand what they're saying. So, so I'm trying to get these programs that interpret the Zulu language into English, and so I can enjoy these songs. But I'm getting older, man. I'm moving into my jazz phase. Just relaxing, what they call smooth jazz. So I don't have any favorite artists or any favorite songs. It's more like you put on a smooth jazz station and you just let it play. And you get something with a good saxophone and good melodies and nothing that's too loud that just lets you check out from having a rough week or a busy week. So yeah, that's where I am these days. Smooth jazz.
I like it. And the last question, a good piece of advice that will always stick with you.
I remember somebody told me, in a sense, I think I either read this or heard this from somebody. People will forget what you've done for them, but people will never forget how you treated them.
Yep.
So for me, it's always, how do you treat people, especially in this industry, where You get power, you get responsibility, you can make somebody's dreams come true. I mean, look, I get it. Some people would love to be on movie sets, would love to have fight scenes, would love to fight their favorite actors and stuff as stunt people. And regardless of talent, and it's how you treat people. So that was something that stuck with me, because at some point in time, I was that guy looking for an opportunity, wishing for a phone call, a text, a courtesy email, or something to say, hey, sorry you weren't chosen, but better luck next time. Or, hey, great job, but, keep at it. Or, yeah, your turn will come soon enough. So I try to do my best to give people that same type of courtesy and advice or acknowledgement. That way they can remember that you were treated with respect and your time was valued. So I figure if you keep that type of character consistently, it'll come back to you, and then when my times came and gone from this place, hopefully people can say they were treated well by me.
Wow. Yeah, man. Yeah, I resonate with that so much. It's beautifully said. Well, this has been such a great time, man. I got so much respect for you. You're a great guy. You're such a big Mortal Kombat fan like me. Yeah,
Big
definitely
time.
one of my favorite podcasts, no doubt.
Big
So
time.
before we go today, do you have any social media platforms that people can follow you at? And is there anything else whatsoever that you'd like to promote?
Well, at this point in time, I'm up to a few things. I hate even saying that because I can't discuss them, but hopefully there'll be some announcements before the end of the year about some things I'm up to. But other than that, look, I'm still old school. I still have a Facebook. I haven't deactivated it. Yep, I'm still a little old school. Yeah, and of course I have an Instagram at Stovall Action Design. Stovall Action Design. So I try to communicate with people here and there, whether it's Titans fans or people who are fans of Alter Carbon or other shows here and there. And, every now and then a little MK question might come up, I definitely put it out there that, hey, I support the movie. I support what they're doing. I'm not involved, but I can't wait to see, what these guys come up with. So, yeah, Stovall Action Design and old school Facebook, Larnell Stovall.
Very good. You also have a short video from in 2007 called Steel, right? Where can people watch that?
I thought it's online. I thought it's still on YouTube.
YouTube?
I don't know if the full short is still there. I know the trailer is there. I know there's a trailer, but I'm not sure if the full short is there. But yeah, that's what happens when stunt guys get bored and they don't work for a few months. They go create their own heroes and try to act and kick butt and do stuff. But yeah, wow, that was good times. Early in my career, but definitely it definitely set the tone for learning what you can do with minimal resources and with good friends who just want to help your vision and do what they can, for some free lunch sometimes. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, brother. Well, you have an excellent day. I'm so excited to get this out there, and I'll be sure to contact it whenever we do. You have a good one, man.
You too. Thank you for everything, and keep the MK fan service alive, man. It's a world that's rich. It's a world that deserves all the respect it's getting, and hopefully those people down under in Australia blow it out the water again, and we have another great MK sequel next year.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it for today's special. I hope the Mortal Kombat Legacy fans walked away with some new gained knowledge. Make sure to keep track of Larnell's social media accounts to see all the great stuff ahead. This man's got a lot going for his career. It's certainly been an exciting one for me, and I hope it was just as equally for you. Familiar faces and newcomers alike, make sure to join some fun discussions we have in our shared Discord channel. You will see it listed in the show's notes. Kamidogu is well over 50 episodes in now, and what a thrill it has been. If you want us to keep on going, we ask that you show support and keep engaged with us and the community. Until next time, you know how it goes. Have fun, stay safe, and stay flawless.